on, everyone? This is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross, your commentator, and it's time for my New Year's Six Bowl predictions, and I'll give you the New Year's Six Bowls here from the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, and Fiesta Bowl. I will give you all the official games that I think will happen, for the upcoming 2022-23 season. What games that I think will happen, what games that I think will happen, but these are games I think they won't happen, but I'm just going to give you my best prediction here for this video, and I'll give you my best prediction to think what games will happen at the end of the season. But we start with the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl, and I also will be making a prediction here on the game that I think will happen, and also thinking what team will come out on top. Let's start with the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl, and that's the college football playoff semifinal there. And that is Georgia versus Alabama. I think Georgia versus Alabama will play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I think this is going to be a good one, kind of similar to the last year's two matchups, where Georgia obviously got beat down by Alabama in the SEC championship, but then Georgia took care of business against Alabama in the national championship. It's kind of similar, I think, to last year. They do meet in the SEC championship game. On my prediction, standings, if you watch that SEC video, I did predict Alabama to win that game, but I still had Georgia getting into the college football playoff as the 4th seed with that one loss there on the record. And it's just about the overall records. It's about the overall records for me, to see who will get into the college football playoff and also in a New Year's Six Bowl game. I think it's going to be Georgia versus Alabama in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl here in the college football playoff semifinal. And if you saw my college football playoff video yesterday, I think Alabama will win that game. I think they're going to kind of, it's kind of similar to last year, but also I think Alabama has a better offense than they were last year, and defensively they should be better on that side of the ball. Georgia loses a lot of talent on that side of the ball, but I think Georgia is still going to be really good of a team to really, I think Kirby Smart has really done what he does down here at Georgia to really get this team back on where it needs to be. And offensively, I think both teams are pretty even. I think Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young are both great quarterbacks. They're going to have a great competition in this game. But I think Alabama will come out on top in this game. So I think that's the game right there that happens in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We go to the other semifinal game, and that's the Fiesta Bowl here in the college football playoff. And that is Utah versus Ohio State. I think this is kind of a rematch, a redemption match for both of these teams. Not a redemption for Ohio State, but a redemption for Utah. I think both of these teams are pretty even. I mean, last year they played in the Rose Bowl, and I think they play this time in the college football playoff. And Utah is pretty much the only team I had left that would win the Pac-12 championship game, and I had them going in as the 3 seed. This is going to be a good one. I think it's an offensive shootout, but if you saw my prediction with this college football playoff semifinal game, I did predict the Buckeyes to win this game, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both teams are pretty even on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, defensively, you've got some good players on that side of the ball. They're pretty well-coached teams, and also 2 great quarterbacks. I mean, Cameron Rising versus C.J. Stroud would be a really great one, but I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's just my prediction that I think will happen, but I think it's going to be Ohio State versus Utah in the Fiesta Bowl, and I did pick Ohio State to win this game. So now let's go to the rest of the bowl games here. We start with the Rose Bowl here, and it's Clemson versus Iowa. It came down to, an ACC team or another Pac-12 team, maybe something like that, but I just went with Clemson versus Iowa. I think Clemson versus Iowa in the Rose Bowl will be a really good matchup. Clemson should be a better team this season. I had them, going undefeated, but also losing their conference championship game to Miami. Now, Clemson was another option there for the 4th spot for the college football playoff, but I decided to go with Georgia just because they went undefeated in the regular season, and also I see them being ranked in the top 4, basically, maybe number 2. They could still get in. They could still get in because some of these teams lose their conference championship games. Clemson will move down, and I think that's what really gets them out of the college football playoff picture. But I think Clemson and Iowa, I think this game right here happens in the Rose Bowl, but I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just think it will happen. So I think Iowa versus Clemson here. I think Clemson does come out on top, though. I'm not really seeing Iowa beat Clemson in this game. like I said, I'm making a prediction here on these games if it was going to happen. I'm going to go with Clemson in this game if I was predicting it, at the end of the year. So I'm going to go with the Tigers to defeat Iowa. We go to the next bowl game now, and that's the Sugar Bowl. It's NC State versus Michigan. I think this is going to be probably the bowl game that everybody wants to watch. I mean, NC State, a loaded team coming back on both sides of the ball. Michigan, not both sides of the ball, but offensively, they should be really talented on that side of the ball. Defensively, they have a lot of question marks, but I think both of these teams are pretty even, in high-scoring games as well. NC State has a veteran quarterback in Devin Laurie. I think he's a veteran quarterback, a winning quarterback. You think about NC State's bowl games. They've had ups and downs over the years, but they should be really good, this season. And also, Michigan's had their ups and downs, but I think Michigan can go to the Sugar Bowl this season and obviously get to a New Year's Six bowl game. And NC State, I think I really like them in this game, but I think Michigan their defense, I think, will get better at the end of the season. That's why I picked Michigan to win this game if this game was going to happen here in the Sugar Bowl, if this game was going to happen this season. So I'm going to say that Michigan does defeat NC State if this game were to happen. So I'm going to go with the Wolverines. Now we go to the Cotton Bowl, and it was a pretty tough call here, but I had to go with Texas versus Stanford in the Cotton Bowl. Texas is coming off that Big 12 championship game win, and then Stanford is coming off their loss in their Pac-12 championship. So it came down to both of these teams. I think Texas and Stanford will play in the Cotton Bowl. This is going to be a good one. I think both teams are pretty even. I mean, returning-wise, though, Stanford does lead that one, but I think the speed of Texas goes to them. And I don't think fans will agree that Texas will reach a New Year's Six bowl game after going 5-7 last year, but I think this team will rebuild a little bit with all the tempo they have coming back. I think they will be a better team, and I also think they will defeat Oklahoma in the regular season, and also I think they do win the Big 12 championship this season. I'm just really high on the Longhorns. I think people are kind of sleeping on this team a little bit, and Stanford is another team that people are kind of sleeping on a little bit. I think both of these teams are pretty even, but if I was going to make a prediction for this game, if it were to happen, I'm going to go with Texas. I think Texas does defeat Stanford, and it ends up really being a good game. But I think Texas will be motivated enough to win this game against a veteran, experienced Stanford team. But I think Texas will win it here in the Cotton Bowl. Now we go to the last New Year's Six bowl game, and that's the Orange Bowl. We have Florida State versus Oklahoma. Fans won't agree that Florida State won't reach a New Year's Six bowl, but I think people are kind of sleeping on this team as well. I'm really high on the Seminoles this season. I think they have a chance to win the ACC Atlantic Division as well. But Oklahoma is another team that, I think is going to be really good still. They still do have the talent, but I do have them losing one regular season game to Texas and then also losing the Big 12 championship game. I think this is going to be a good one. I think both teams will be really good on defense. I think this is kind of a defensive battle the whole way. I think both offenses will kind of struggle in this game, but if I was going to make a pick in this game, and also if I was going to see this game happen in real life, I would say that Oklahoma does defeat Florida State. So, I mean, that is what I think will happen there. I think Oklahoma is just too talented, and I think Florida State will compete in that game, but it won't be enough. But that concludes all my New Year's Six bowl predictions. And like I said, in the college football playoff, I have Alabama versus Georgia in the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl. In the Fiesta Bowl, I have Ohio State versus Utah. Clemson versus Iowa in the Rose Bowl. In the Orange Bowl here, I have Florida State versus Oklahoma. Texas versus Stanford in the Cotton Bowl. And then in the Sugar Bowl, NC State versus Michigan. So give me your thoughts on those things. Do you think these games will happen in real life, or do you think they will not happen? So stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.